The sun setting on Toyota Soccer Center in Frisco, Texas, the site of day one of the 2022 Generation Adidas Cup U15 action, the premier youth championship in North America. The New York Red Bulls facing off against the Giants of Argentina, River Plate in this one. David Goss and Bobby Warshaw with you for this one. Bobby, a former pro player here on these grounds. Bobby, day one, our fourth game, and it has been incredible so far.
Spectacular performances. We've seen the stars step up. We've seen incredible goals. We've seen good team soccer. It's lived up to it. We missed it for the 2 years it wasn't here, but GA Cup is back, and we're all lucky for it.
And one of the reasons we've seen so much energy is because there's not a lot of room to make mistakes in a competition like this. A group stage, the top team in every single group will move on to the round of 16. The 6 best second place teams will as well. Just 3 group stage games, Bobby. So the pressure is on the moment this tournament started.
It's what everyone around Generation Adidas Cup talks about. It's the pressure. It's that feeling in your stomach when you have real stakes. And it's so hard to do at the youth ages, but the best place, the place they find it the most for these young players is here at GA Cup, and especially in games like this, really, David, against what could be called the godfather of GA Cup, and that's River Plate, 3-time champions.
There may not be a more iconic jersey in the world. The red jersey, the white jersey, the red slash. I can't even speak on it, Bobby. I'm so excited. Let's take a look at the River Plate starting lineup for this one. And as usual, a 4-4-2, 2 true strikers up top.
Well, it's River Plate, so it's not just a 4-4-2. It's a 4-3-1-2. And as always, River Plate brings a star number 10. He'll be the one to watch. He'll be the key man for this team. Macetuano, the legendary number 10 for River Plate.
Marcelo Gallardo wore that jersey once in his day. Ariel Arteaga, some of the great players in the world's history. New York Red Bulls on the flip side, Bobby. A fantastic back line, some good, dangerous attackers, and you're excited for Jack Mize up top as well. As our star player, let's take a look at Jeremiah White in central midfield.
And he can play so many spots and fulfill so many roles for this Red Bull team. Today or play him in midfield, look for him to get on the ball as often as possible, have as much of an impact in as many ways as possible.
A huge game kicking off here in Group A, the final game of the day. New York Red Bulls U15s trying to get this started the right way against River Plate, as Bobby said, a perennial champion at this Generation Adidas Cup. David Goss and Bobby Warshaw with you. New York Red Bulls going right to left on your monitors in their all-black kits with their red numbers in River Plate in that iconic white kit with the red sash. I learned it.
And David, we can expect this under-15 Red Bull team to play the Red Bull way.
Mm-hmm.
They play their soccer in the same way we see the teams in Europe, the same way we see the Major League Soccer team. It'll be fast. It'll be aggressive. They want the game to be on their terms at a speed that the opponent cannot keep up with.
Bobby, you've seen River Plate now for a number of years at the youth level. What do you expect from their side?
Well, so often when you talk about Argentine football, when you talk about a famed club like River Plate, you expect it to be beautiful. You expect it to be some tiki-taka soccer. But really what they have done and been so successful at GA Cup is their organization and their grit. Yes, they play excellent soccer. Yes, they have star players like we'll see from Macetuano. But really, it's about their defensive ability and their maturity on the field. Players who live and breathe soccer at all times and understand how to get results.
So often we see River bring the biggest, strongest players, but the players also are, as you said, ready to win those big moments and win and make those winning plays to get you a championship. River Plate trying to play out of the back. A touch a little long there from Uchicio. Chance now to get on the ball for the first time for Sina Quintera. Uchicio now into the box. Stokes comes out and he gets his body over the ball. So an early start here. One of the factors always in Frisco at Toyota Soccer Center is the wind. A heavy wind coming from left to right on your monitors from behind the FC Dallas goal into the New York Red Bulls goal. So it'll be a factor against the New York team in the first half. It'll be a factor against River Plate in the second half. Silva Quintera now gets to the end line. Looking to pull it back, knocked away by Alessandre. Still alive on the top of the area. Jeremiah White has it taken away. And then the shot well over the top of the crossbar. First shooting opportunity there for Spieth.
Well, for a club like River Plate, with the name that you bring in, the ability to impose yourself this early in the game, remind the opponent of who you are in the badge on the crest, is a great start for them to have.
Bobby, you mentioned in the open the nerves, dealing with that stress at this high level. You're also dealing with an unknown. These Red Bulls players, they normally watch tape on their opponent. They learn about them. They've never seen this River Plate team play before. How does a young player handle that?
That's one of the things that when they set up GA Cup, they wanted to accomplish, because you have to figure it out on the fly. You have to flex your soccer brain to solve the problems. And the word we hear so often in player development is perception. It's not just the technique. It's not the physical component. It's how well can you perceive what's happening on the field. And if you already know the answers, you know, Red Bull play the Philadelphia Union, they play NYCFC multiple times a year. They already know the answers before they arrive. River Plate, it's a whole new set of questions they have to perceive their way through and build those new networks in their brain.
And as a coach, what do you say to your team? What are you leaning back on to, at least from a starting point? How do you come out and play against an unknown?
The first thing you're always trying to do as a coach when players are nervous is to make them enjoy themselves, to make them not fear mistakes. Because it's a natural part of being a human, and certainly being a player, is that when you get stressed under pressure, the first thing you try and do is avoid mistakes, but nobody can play sport like that. If you do that in soccer, you're donezo. So the first is,
chance coming here.
can you get them to relax enough? And then you say, the first 5 to 10 minutes, let's figure it out. We don't have to play the prettiest soccer in the world. The first 5 or 10 minutes are, let's start to figure out what the questions are, so over the next 50 minutes we can figure out the solutions.
David Goss and Bobby Warshaw with you here, both on Twitch and on the MLS YouTube channel. 4th game of day 1 here, Group A action. We have already seen the other 2 teams in Group A face off. Pumas, a 3-1 win over the Colorado Rapids, so these teams know what they're chasing. You can go to MLSsoccer.com as all of the results start to filter in. We've got 4 more games coming up tomorrow as well at the U17 level. So all of you out there watching, feel free to tune in. Once again, we'll be here all week. We've got 4 games every single day until we get to Friday at the quarterfinals. As Bollinger knocks that one away. Bollinger and Bryjak in that central midfield alongside Jeremiah White. Captain at center back, Davi Alexandre, flanked by De Olivero and Mowbray. A lot of quality 908s in this team for Red Bulls, which means 9 players playing up in age group to be with this side. They do have a U15 eligible player in Nate Worth, who will start for the U17s tomorrow on our stream against Flamengo. So a ton of talent in this Red Bull side. And a ton of young players getting the first bite, that first taste of this international competition. Bollinger cuts it back. Across the midfield for Bryjak. Down the line for DeHart. DeHart can't keep possession. And now a chance to break for River, and Alessandre puts it out. Bobby, we've been treated to some incredible games so far, as we said, in the Open. A 2-0 win for Monterrey here in the opening game against TFC. Maybe the only team that's sort of won against the run of play at times. Then we saw a dominant performance for Pumas for about 60% of that game. A great comeback from the Rapids, falling just short. And then maybe the most dominant performance of the day by LAFC in our last game. So really excited to see what we think might be the most even matchup. Corner kick coming, first of the game.
Here we see Macetuano on the ball with his left foot, the wind going toward goal, and River Plate decides to stack their players in front of goal to just make as much chaos in there as possible.
Macetuano puts it in! It's almost an Olympico! It takes a touch and goes wide. And Bobby, just as you said, trying to make chaos for Aiden Stokes in goal.
No secret to what they were trying to do there. You have a player like Macetuano on his left foot. You have the wind. You have a young goalkeeper. Put it in there. Make that young player make a save. I don't know if he got a touch on it.
I think he may have hit the crossbar.
Yeah, I got it. Say what?
His hand is right there as this one comes over the top. Either way, whether it's the crossbar or his hand, the first opportunity of this game.
And we'll see what happens now. It looks like Macetuano, who just took with his left foot, is going to that side as well. It suggests an outswinger. So a different approach this time around. But as we talked about, River Plate has been so successful at GA Cup through set pieces, organization, and maturity.
A different set piece play here. Cardano. That one's knocked down at the near post and bounces just wide. But the threat shown here from River.
And now Red Bull, we talk about trying to figure out the solution. They're being pressed. They're against the wind. They are not known as a club that prioritizes being able to belt out like this. So what are their solutions? Have they worked on it in training? Have they gone through the different patterns? Do they revert back to something else, try and change the terms of the game? Because ultimately GA Cup is about your team advancing, your team succeeding. But at this age, player development is so important as well for these individuals to demonstrate that they can figure it out on the fly.
Castellano deep into the corner. Already showing how fluid he is in possession. Ola Rawanju, the center forward, dropping all the way back to help defensively for this New York Red Bull team. It's been a bright start here for River Plate.
How different does this game look from our first three? The first three were slower, different type of soccer, more passes connected, more interchanges. And this is just 100 miles an hour. It's fun to see the different ways that these young teams approach it.
Bollinger, he's shown his footwork. Can't find a teammate, though. Miscommunication. And River now are back in possession. Cruising forward. Opportunity. And the offside flag will go up.
That finish, though.
That finish. Subi Arabi. Even in the offside spot, as you say, giving the warning sign to everyone, if you let me in, I will dispatch my opportunities. 30-minute halves here, total of 60-minute games. If we end in a tie, both teams get at least 1 point, and then we go to a penalty kick shootout, 3 group stage games to try and get out to the round of 16. A beautiful leave there from Silva Quintera. Monte Tosano gets by the captain, Alessandre, gets to the end line, pulls it back, and cleared over the top by Bullinger.
I don't think the Meg was what he was going for there, but he got it, and it was nice.
When you're in Argentine 10, you accidentally Meg people. I think that's part of the style. Alessandre, the captain there, coming out to defend, not able to make that play.
Well, once he's in the box, he can't go in as hard as he wants. So he has to shy out. It always gives the attacker the advantage there.
Corner kick coming. It's not Masasuano on this one, who went for the Olympico on the last goal, or on the last corner. It's Silva Quintero this time. Ball driven to the top of the 6, knocked down, but into the hands of Stokes.
A transition opportunity if Red Bulls can take it, though.
Stokes holds it up and goes out to De Oliveira. To Hart. Is it off that line? Immediately turned over. River are the ones pressing the New York Red Bulls right now. As unprecedented as that statement may sound, Ola Wanjeru not able to find a teammate. White picks it up. Through ball now for Ola Ranwaju. People, what he's known by his teammates, a leading scorer on the team in the season with 19 goals so far this year. Alvaro into Bollinger. And DeHart has it knocked out. Bobby, 10 minutes in, what have you seen?
River Plate has to feel good about their start. We knew coming in that the Red Bulls would try and make the game as fast and aggressive and chaotic as possible. And it largely has been, yet River Plates have been the one to do it, to deal with it more comfortably. And perhaps even more so, they've been able to deal with it and get their key player, number 10, Masatuano, on the ball as much as possible. He will have a free roll. He'll have the opportunity to go where he wants, do what he wants. And so far, he's been able to get on the ball as much as possible.
New York Red Bulls and River Plate playing into the unknowns here against new opposition, as we said, against elite opposition as well. here at the 2022 Generation Adidas Cup, the Premier Youth Championships. Every MLS team has representation here. We've got clubs from Flamengo, from Manchester United, Celtic, River Plate, obviously, as well. We've also got a guest with us here, Sean McCafferty, Academy Director for the New York Red Bulls. Sean, you're down here watching your team. Quick start to this game, but in general, talk to us from your point of view about what this week means, what this competition is.
Yeah, I mean, I think I heard you say it. It's the premier tournament in North America. The level of teams that are here from all over the world really is, I mean, ultimately, that's what our players need, these benchmarks, right? MLS, there's some great competition, but this is really kind of next level, if you like. I mean, just this game here to begin with, River Plate have started very sharp, looked dangerous. We haven't settled in yet, so I'm very interested to see how long it takes us to connect a couple. But this is why the boys play the game, so it's an unbelievable opportunity.
Settle in. You're a Red Bull team. I didn't know that was
When your young team, 15-year-olds, get off to a slow start like this, how much as a coach do you tell them what to do and do you give them solutions versus you have to just let them struggle through and figure it out?
It's a great question. We never want the coaches to be, kind of puppet on a string. Ultimately, these players have to make decisions. They have to feel this. They have to feel that. I mean, we're against a strong wind, as you can hear. So they're pressing high right now, and just a bit of common sense, right? So if we're going to attract them and play, maybe, but sometimes you just have to be a bit more pragmatic, like so. And that's part of the game, right? It can't always look fantastic. It can't always be 10, 20 passes. So it's great for their development. I mean, they're struggling right now. They're suffering a little bit. And it's for us, we see the players who stands up and who doesn't.
It's Hart trying to get the tackle in. The ball sneaks out wide. Opportunity coming just over the crossbar from Stokes.
As a Red Bull club, it's easy for us to talk about who you are and use the cliche lines about how you play. How different is it actually for the kids? If one of these players were to go from a Red Bull to an NYCFC session, would it feel different for them?
It's another great question, because before I took the job, that was the perception. There was an identity, it was against the ball, and quite honest, it's nonsense.
That's what we want to hear. If what we say is nonsense, give it to us.
It's. I mean, for our academy players, I mean, ultimately, we play, we try and build, we play through the lines, we try and link up, we try and combine. But we also have our weapon, which is against the ball. So from our perspective, why not try and dominate both aspects? We don't want to be one-dimensional. But we have to develop players who are technically proficient, who are good decision makers. But no doubt about it, the work rate against the ball, the press, counter press, of course they're weapons for us. But we're developing young players. Once they get to the pro level, then maybe a bit more definitive, responsibilities. But I mean, listen, for us, you go to our training sessions, it's high intensity, it's competitive, but the quality and the standards have to be there with the ball.
And as someone who runs one of these academies, one of the best academies in the country, how much is a directive from you or from the first team compared to what you allow each coach to do? And we'll talk over the week about how a club has a game model or some type of methodology, but how much do you actually allow the head coaches their leeway within that?
I mean, listen, we have our unique way of playing, especially against the ball and in transition. But ultimately, again, these coaches are developing just like the players are, so we have to give them some freedom to. We have non-negotiables, but how do they work around those non-negotiables and bring their personality to their respective groups? And it's not a everybody has to do this. And again, we're in the youth business, and we're in the business of developing young players. And we have to develop their brains, and the coaches have to do the same, right? What works, what doesn't work. And each coach has a little bit of a different personality, but ultimately we use the term non-negotiables. The non-negotiables are our work rate. The non-negotiables are how we press, how we backtrack, and do the little things well.
Vinny there winning the free kick as Stokes got out of a tight situation. You mentioned before you got to New York Red Bulls, you have a lot of experience in the youth ranks here in the U.S. How have you seen player development, everything change from when you started to now?
21 years ago in the Philadelphia area, obviously, and it's unbelievable. I mean, the level of player, the depth and talent, I think a lot of it is the coach education pieces. We have a lot more educated coaches, more experienced, and I mean, listen, you see at the professional level that the American player's never been more valuable. The American player's never been more, have had more credibility, so to speak. So ultimately, we want to keep that going. I mean, our job is is can we find and develop the next, Tyler Adams? Can we, that's the type of player we're looking for.
Ball off the crossbar, Stokes closing, gets the save away. And that ball goes over the top. Another huge opportunity here for River Plate. The ball clipped over the top and the header off the crossbar, Sean. And as you said, these players being put under pressure right now for New York Red Bulls.
Yeah, now we're struggling. We are struggling to connect. We're struggling to, listen.
Who do you lean on in this moment? Who do you expect from this group to be the leader?
Listen, Davy Alexander's our captain. He's just been, he's a top young player, and we think very highly of him. But it's a difficult moment. Everybody has to step up. Ultimately, just connect the first pass. Listen, you can hear the wind. It's difficult conditions. Don't get me wrong. Sometimes you just got to dig in. You just got to hang on. You got to find a way to keep yourself in the game. But right now they're first every first ball, the first every second ball. So it's not been great by us. But the only positive right now is we're sitting 0-0.
I wanted to ask you one last question before you let you go. We've got your U17s on our broadcast here tomorrow against Flamengo, a huge matchup. You've brought a couple guys on pro contracts who are eligible to this tournament in Curtis Safori, Sammy Williams as well. What is the value of this competition? Take us through maybe that mindset for people who say, oh, I see Curtis Safori in USL. Why is he at GA Cup?
Yeah, listen, it's there's no game, which helps. But ultimately, these young players have to play in these games as well. Curtis needs some minutes. And ultimately, they're playing against international competition. It's not like they come here and they're going to be the man and it's going to be easy. It's not. And I'm a massive believer in they need to play their own age group sometimes and have some success. And Sammy Williams is a great example. He's been fantastic for us at the second team level. But can he come here and work on parts of his game that's going to help him when he goes back to the second team, next week? So I think it's really important. Sergio Gomez not here. He's injured. He'd be another one that we bring in who's on an MLS contract. But ultimately, you want to put your best against their best. Again, we talk about benchmarks. Where are we at? We domestically, you get a good idea, but what are we like compared to the Liga MX academies? Obviously, here, River Plate, a top club. And it really helps us because sometimes you get maybe a little bit of false progress. And this, for opening 20 minutes, whatever it is, has been hopefully very humbling for everybody.
Thanks so much, Sean. We appreciate you taking the time. We're glad it's still 0-0 while you're here. Enjoy the rest of the week. Good luck to your team as well as tomorrow. We're excited to see you. Thanks for taking the time.
Thanks, gentlemen. Appreciate it.
Sean McCafferty, the Academy Director for the New York Red Bulls, squirming alongside us for a little bit, but we appreciate him. And Bobby, some really interesting stuff.
Yeah, it's great. What the success he's had in his career and clearly what he's helped build here at Red Bulls is impressive. And he just has the full scope of where things have been, where things are now, and where they're going to go. And it's people like that that will continue to drive the game forward in the country.
I meant to ask him who's the best player out of Mechanicsburg at the end of that. Former Pennsylvania area coach, as he said earlier in his career, went and managed the Barcelona Arizona Academy, where we've seen Julian Araujo and Caden Clark and some huge talents, Matthew Hoppe, come out of that academy. And now, of course, with New York Red Bulls, John Tolkien, Omir Fernandez getting starts in MLS here today.
And he made a comment at the end, David, that I want to touch on, which is around the benchmarking. And the theme we've heard is that we know that American players are growing in prominence around the world, but there's still a gap where these MLS teams feel like they aren't getting the full value for the quality. And that GA Cup is incredibly important for that because the world knows how much a number 10 for River Plate is worth on the world market. But now at GA Cup, if the Red Bull number 10, if Jeremiah White can show that he can outplay that player from Argentina,
is he the next time?
All of a sudden, that raises the market value because MLS teams can say, hey, I know what you think that guy's worth, but we've demonstrated in North America that these players are just as good and should have a similar market value. And that's important not just for the Red Bulls, but for everyone in Canada, the U.S., and even down in Liga MX.
So it looks like Red Bulls are preparing their first sub, trying to change this tempo of play. 7 subs allowed for each team, 60-minute game here, so 30-minute halves. You're allowed 3 moments, but that's only in the second half. So this is a free opportunity to make a sub for Red Bulls. Of course, you can't return once you come off. So we'll see how Coach Simon Neach looks to change things around. A little bit fortunate maybe to still be level at 0-0.
Love a good first half substitution. It's horrible for a player, and no player wants to have it happen. But from a tactical perspective, when you're getting outplayed, there's a line that our friend Devin Pluler, Director of Analytics at Toronto, uses to say, in chess, whoever moves first has a huge advantage, and we don't use that thought in soccer often enough. That if you make the first tactical move, it's often something that you can regain an advantage with. And here we see Red Bull doing it with the first half
So
substitution.
it's Daniel de Oliveira to come off, and I wonder what this will mean. It looks like this might mean a formation change. It does mean a few pieces are moving in this one. So as you said, tough for de Oliveira coming off as the left center back. This could either mean New York's going to a back four, or it could just be a shift in a number of players, but it does look like Jeremiah White's moved to that right back position. And White, as we said, a guy who we're excited to see, never really got into it, as you've talked about over the course of the day from Jesse Marsh's comments. He never really made the River Plate midfield feel him, his presence.
Yes. And it's fascinating to see a player with as unique a skill set as Jeremiah White, who goes from center mid to right, the classic center mid to right back switch.
Listen, I've seen two Red Bull Academy kids do that in their time. One is John Tolkien, who plays wing back and center mid, and the other was Tyler Adams, who played wing back and center mid. So not a bad group of alumni to follow in that way. So Timothy Logan comes on.
David, I think that this shape switch, which goes from 3 center backs and adds a player into the midfield, is just about numbers around second balls. That right now it feels like River Plate's getting first to everything. So if you add another number in the middle, but also we can see it's effectively 4 players along a line at midfield. It's out of your shot right now, which says, let's just get our numerical advantage farther up the field. Instead of 3 center backs, let's put one of those players farther up and try and go higher numbers closer to the midfield line.
And one of the factors in this game, and we've seen it in every game, is the wind coming from behind River Plate's back, sort of pinning New York in.
Yeah, you can see the shot here. Thank you for that wide shot. It really is 5v5 at the midfield line. Trying to change where the numerical advantage is, trying to change the tilt on the field.
Olan Riwaju picks up the foul, the center forward. He and Jack Mize almost no touches in this first half. New York Red Bulls about 5 minutes from getting out of this potentially at 0-0. We have seen the attacking thrust sort of wear off for River Plate over the last 5 minutes.
We have, and if you're a Red Bull, this is where you start to gain confidence, because you struggled.
Chance picking it in field here. Opportunity to shoot for Logan. And a handball is called by the Red Bull bench. Loving
There it
the
is.
energy.
You can feel the confidence growing, because if you're a Red Bull, you struggled for 20 minutes. You took the best punch that one of the best clubs in the world has to offer, and you're still standing. You're still at 0-0. And once that kicks in, once you realize that, you grow into the game and you start to feel better about where you are.
Into the waning minutes of this first half. David Goss and Bobby Warshaw with you. 2022 Generation Adidas Cup U15 action. New York Red Bulls against Argentine club River Plate. Zolan Riwaju presses high there. Our final game of the day. These two teams in a group with Pumas from Mexico as well as the Colorado Rapids, as Pumas took a 3-1 win in their opening game. The top team in each group will move on to the round of 16, and the 6 best second place teams across the 10 groups will move on as well. Both these teams trying to set the tone early. It has been almost all River Plate in this one, but they're still tied at 0-0. Stokes clipping it up to that second line. Bollinger flicks it on, no one there to meet it. Switch of the field immediately from River Plate. Run out of midfield from Un Chisio. And the tackle made flying off the field from Luvini. So Luvini swapped from right wing back to left back. We've seen Jeremiah White push from center mid out to that right back position. So a big switch around for this New York Red Bull team as Coach Simon Nee tries to help them get that little bit of footing in this one. And Bobby, it was interesting to hear Sean McCafferty say, we don't want these coaches to be moving these players like puppets. It's their job, the players out there, to figure this out.
Yeah, and if you're a center back, or if you're Ian Stokes, the goalkeeper for this Red Bull team, you want to show to everyone watching, to your coaches, to the first team coaches, that you can play through that type of pressure. You almost want one of your young players to have that type of confidence and that resilience. But at some point, there's also the pressure of winning here, and they have to put that aside and say, okay, what's our best choice here? Is it to play into the second layer? Is it to go find a second ball farther up the field?
And to show that opportunity. As you said, Coach Gary Lewis, the New York Red Bull 2 USL coach, in the corner here watching this game. And these players are on the verge of, are they going to get pulled into training with that group? Are they going to get moved up? We talked Nate Worth, the star for this team's been moved up to the U17s. So, Bobby, as you said, an opportunity here to shine and sort of be seen.
And you could probably sum up the ability to become a good first-team player by your reaction to that shell shock feeling. Because when you turn pro, when you go from an academy or a college when it still happens to a first team, that first day is a shell shock.
Mize trying to go the other way in transition. Plays it for Olanrijaru. Olanrijaru back to Mize. Mize now 1v1 on the side of the box. The big switch to the runner on the far post. It's headed away in front of Logan. First opportunity really for this New York Red Bull team to break. And a foul in midfield there by Bryjak.
And a smart foul too. River Plate had them in transition. Bryjak was the last person that could slow it down, sacrificing himself, taking the yellow card for the team.
3 yellow cards across this competition will mean a suspension for one game. Unless it's in the semifinal, you can't be suspended for the final on a yellow card accumulation. Bryjak picks up the first of the game for either team. 30-minute half, so dying moments here. We've talked a lot about Red Bull for River. What's the coaching staff saying going in, let's say, holds at 0-0 after the way they've played, but the lack of goals?
You're going to be encouraged about that first 22 minutes, but there's also a disappointment because one of the truths of this sport is that while you have the run of the game, you have to take your chances, that there's always ebbs and flows, and if you don't score when you have your ebb, you're leaving it up to the other team and giving them an opportunity for when they get the momentum again. So River Plate, the dominant team through 20 minutes, but didn't take their chances and leaving an open game.
Logan pushes this one wide. Opportunity to get forward for Mize once again. Mize has it pulled out from under him, and a dangerous free kick as we enter first half stoppage time.
And the emotion to that little moment, just a free kick, and yet Mize, you can see the celebration on it, because that is what matters in this. Every moment can be the difference.
Clint Dempsey-esque there, drawing fouls when the game's against you. I don't know that any American player in history loved that aspect of the game more. Bullinger standing over this one. We got the center back Mowbray getting up with the other center back in Alessandre as the big options in the box. New York Red Bulls have been against it all first half. The dying moments here in stoppage time. Can they steal a lead to take into halftime? It'll be Brady Bullinger to take this one. A little talk here from our head official, Preston Joyner. Just trying to clean up a little bit of the pushing in the box. Bullinger ready to take. Puts it in the box. It goes over the head of everyone. Can River counter now? Logan is chasing. White not able to get a connection, but Stokes off his line. The sun setting here at the Toyota Soccer Center, and the sun setting on this first half in the 4th game of the first day of the 2022 Generation Adidas Cup U15 action. We've seen some golazos. We've seen penalty kick saves. We've seen some beautiful runs of play, some drama. Bobby, this is the most even game I think we've seen.
The most even and the fastest. That every game offers something different. Every team brings an idea of how they want the game to be played. And both teams came in here and said, we are going to be the aggressor. We are going to be the ones to play the game at the fastest pace.
Something to note, that wind will be against River Plate in this second half. And at the backs for Red Bulls, who have struggled to play out against it at times in this first half. Mowbray trying to protect along the end line as fireworks go off in the background, and we've got fireworks waiting for us in the second half. In all 3 games we've had a goal in the opening 3 minutes of the second half. We are 10 minutes away from that second half action. 2022 Generation Adidas Cup play here from Frisco, Texas.
what the foreign country have done in 1 century, we did it in 10 years.
The great soccer pioneer Lamar Hunt once said, "I get asked this a lot. Why has soccer not succeeded?" My answer is, soccer has succeeded. It is already the fastest growing youth participation sport in the U.S. It has already succeeded at the youth level, no question. Lamar Hunt envisioned early on that youth development would play a vital part in the growth of soccer in the United States. But to measure how far we've come as a soccer nation starts here in Frisco, Texas. The Generation Adidas Cup brings Major League Soccer academies face-to-face against international powerhouses from all over the world. Since the introduction of this tournament, and in the last few years alone, the youth game has gone through a metamorphosis. But what is being done at the youth level to advance the game?
The game, the players, and our coaches.
Through a partnership with the French Football Federation, Major League Soccer began prioritizing the education of coaches in every level, and alongside on-field competition and the development of a player itself, encompassed the 3 pillars of focus towards advancing the youth game.
We have put in a lot of time and effort on coaching development. So I think that the results of that are starting to happen. The coaches who have gone through the French EFCL, the French Federation course, we're starting to see how that has changed in the way their teams are approaching the game and the way that they're playing. The fact that our clubs now are going younger and younger, bringing in kids at the ages of, in some cases, 11 and 12 years old, it's giving them a little bit of longevity and preparation in the way that they are building a young professional. So they're taking it from a young age, developing their technical skills, developing the tactical awareness of the game, improving their physical conditioning and their mental approach to the game. So I think we're starting to see the results. Every year for the last 3 years, we've seen an improvement of the quality of play, and I think we're seeing it this year, that our clubs are slowly but surely catching up to the international clubs.
We cannot develop better kids if we don't have better teachers. So we have done a lot of work on this subject. The last aspect is the competition aspect. We all know if we want to improve our kids, we need to develop them with more meaningful competition. And the GA Cup is a perfect example of this effort. In one side, we try to benchmark our players and our coaches against the best team of the world, and Real Madrid is here to highlight that. But it's also, in the other side, the opportunity to create a coaching symposium to try to link both competition and coaching education, and to make sure we have different layers in this process to upgrade and to improve everyone.
We can't afford to have this traditional mentality that we know everything, because the second we think that, we're going to stop growing. So as a nation, and I feel the more curious we are about the game itself, and put the ego to the side, and realize that there's a lot more to learn than what we know, then I think our development's going to have another boost.
In the previous structure that we had, when a player was good in an academy, almost he was the one that was getting the least coaching, because the clubs did not want to lose that player. Now I think we're creating an environment that is full of good players, so therefore those special players now are going to have to push themselves, and that's going to help them to raise the level and become those world superstars. I have no doubt that in a short period of time, we're going to see very special players. We're starting to see that.
Giovanni Reyna steps to the spot and puts his team ahead in extra time of the Premier Division Championship. The sun setting on day one of 2022 Generation Adidas Cup competition. U15 action. It's the second half of the final game of the day. David Goss and Bobby Warshaw with you alongside the field as the Giants of Argentina River Plate face off against New York Red Bulls at the U15 level. Bobby, the Red Bulls hung on. They survived in the first half. Trying to do a little better here in this second half, but still tied 0-0.
River Plate the better team in the first half, no doubt about it. They matched everything that Red Bulls hoped to do with their press, with their energy, with their intensity, but really didn't create many chances outside of the Olympico on the Macetuanov corner kick. Didn't create a huge threat. Red Bulls took the punch and they're back in it. They created the better chances throughout the last 7 or 8 minutes of the first half.
Big tactical switch in the first half. Timothy Logan coming on. Red Bulls switching from 3 in the back to 4. 5 in the back to 4 in the back.
And we talked about how that was mostly to change the numbers on the field. Take a player from their own defensive third and move that player into a more attacking position to create either equal numbers or numerical advantage farther up the field, since so much of what Red Bulls want to do is about territory and setting up situations to win second balls.
Foul in midfield. Mowbray called for the foul, being pulled out from that center back position. Aiden Stokes in goal for New York Red Bulls. Davi Alessandre and Mowbray, the 2 center backs for this one. With the shifts, Jeremiah White and Gavin DeHart, the 2 fullbacks right now. Midfield in Bryjak and Bullinger. Luvini playing out wide in an attacking position. And then Jack Mize and Pipalor Olanrewaju, the 2 forwards for this Red Bull team. Flying forward now is River Plate. Stokes makes the first save, but the second one's put away. The opening goal 2 minutes in to the second half. And it's Spieth with the opener.
Another fast goal, David, to start the second half. We've seen it as a theme in day one of Generation Adidas Cup. This time it comes from Spieth for River Plate. Here we see them combining the little slip ball behind the back line and then the rebound. Spieth so composed. It felt like a situation when here comes the attacker. They get overexcited and they launch it, but he goes right back across the goal, perfectly slid into the far post.
And Bobby, twice off the post in the first half for River, but Red Bulls bent but didn't break. And now River, they get the goal, a huge moment for them to open up this tournament.
And John Mueller of The Athletic just wrote an article on the idea of rebounds, and he pointed out this exact scenario. The most likely place for a rebound to come from is about 15 yards on the right side of the player coming in with his right foot into his left foot, and that's exactly what we saw. Spieth in the right place, and a professional, composed finish to put his team up 1-0.
And I thought you said it best there, where it felt like he was going to try and blast it, and Stokes was recovering across the goal, and he calmly places it back where the goalkeeper's coming from.
He really put it in the one place that would lead to a goal.
All of you out there on Twitch, on YouTube, that are joining in, welcome. Thanks for being here with us. We are back tomorrow with 4 games at the U17 level. So don't forget to join us for those. We start out with this same River Plate, but at the U17 level, where they have won about 5 Generation Adidas Cups in their history against DC United. We've got Austin FC, Santos, Red Bulls, Rayados, and LAFC's U17s against Flamengo at 4 p.m. Eastern time to close out the day. And we are out here in the chat. So everyone watching there, congrats all the River Plate fans so far. Feel free to ask us any questions, throw in any comments. We will definitely love to bring you into our broadcast and touch on them as well. We love all of you being here with us. It's one of the most fun weeks of the year as the Red Bulls prepare 2 more substitutions. 30-minute half, 60-minute games, 7 subs available to these teams, Bobby. Now, it's a ton of games in 1 week, but it also allows you to mix and match a little bit and take some risks with your personnel.
It does. And you're always trying to balance that with the importance of every moment and every game, because you might think to yourself, this is a chance to rotate, this is a chance to get somebody else minutes, and then that's the span that you give up goals or you drop points, which means that you don't move on to the next round.
The winner of each group will move on to the round of 16. The 6 best second-place teams out of our 10 groups will also move on, as it's Julian Hall and Gil D'Souza that are getting ready to come on. Julian Hall, an attacking sub. We'll see if one of the forwards comes off or it's about adding another forward to the team. Bullinger clips this one over the top and awkwardly taken in the end by Lostanaro. Maybe his first touch of the game. Costanzo, the goalkeeper.
No, we've seen, David, in the first 3 games of the day, is that team that scored the early second half goal continued to be the team in control of the game.
Yeah.
They didn't fall into the trap of scoring, taking lead, and dropping back and becoming cautious. They continued to push the game.
The only game where we've really seen a push for a comeback was the Pumas Rapids game. Pumas going up 2-0. They scored the goal in the 31st minute, as every team does. They had a penalty kick save 2 minutes later. They scored again in the 35th, but then the Rapids scored. They changed the pace of play, and they were really able to push the game. One of the things we talked about in the first half that River Plate's always been known for is understanding those moments, the tempo, how to kill off games.
The word that comes up often with River Plate's Academy at GA Cup is maturity. That they understand how to play in the tournament environment. They understand how to manage games. And of course, they have star players. We've really seen a standout performance from Macetuano today. But after they take leads, or when they need to chase a game, they understand how to do it in a professional way.
So Gil D'Souza coming on for Brychak. Second substitution as well. It's Julian Hall coming on in place of Jack Mize. So it'll be a like-for-like change up top for Hall. Hall looking to create some opportunities for Jack Mize. We saw in the end of the first half his quality, the few half chances, just wasn't able to get service up top. Bobby, when you are a pressing team, and Sean McCaffrey talked about this a little, they have to be more than that. Where does your chance creation come from? Where do your goals come from in a game where River may not give you the chance to press?
Yeah, this is the hard thing. And in truth, it's probably not so much about the team itself as the way we talk about teams and the need to simplify it. So when we call a team a pressing team, that generally means that they are best in the pressing phase, that when the other team has the ball, their ability to press and create changes from the other team's possession. The second part of that is the second ball or the counter-pressing phase. So that if you play forward, even if you don't connect it, this is where we see Liverpool so dangerous. Trent Alexander-Arnold ball that doesn't come off, but it's the second, the third wave. And we know that Red Bulls in our brains can always do the pressing and the counter-pressing. What Sean just told us is that it's an oversimplification of how they approach the game to think that they don't care about the other phases. Because when you have the ball, you still want to intelligently use it. It's not the concept of we want to give it right back and we don't even have it, or don't have it at all.
Chance to get in here. Mowbray battling defensively. He's able to recover. Then Salvatore. Hall coming on as a sub, gets his first touches. Losing possession. White comes flying through and wins the tackle. And this is the game we expected to see. Two teams duking it out here. Beautiful touch off the line. And the goal scorer, Spieth, goes down. And a yellow card coming in for the substitute, D'Souza. Beautiful footwork from Flores here up the line.
The tackle doesn't come off there for D'Souza, David, but that's the type of aggressiveness that they'll want him to bring. Mistakes are fine, fouls are fine right now, but impose yourself on the game to create an energy shift again. Just like in the first half, River Plate have been the better team so far in the second half. And we saw a substitution early in the first half that caused a little bit of a shift. We're looking at something similar here. Can D'Souza do something similar in the second half?
White flicks that one on. And a huge part of the pressing system is rattling your opponent, and River just don't seem to be capable of being rattled. Red Bull still looking to find their feet. River Plate, they've been pretty outstanding throughout this game. Turnover here, a huge moment. Stokes off his line, and he's quick to that one. Aiden Stokes in a high area.
Here we see another River Plate transition. They win the ball, they play forward right away, but Aiden Stokes off his line. And it's a theme that we see from these young goalkeepers now, is taking high positions to start.
Opportunity here for the Red Bulls to press River maybe out of there. Build up beautiful footwork from the center back. Alexandre, though, does win it back for New York as the wind picks up, coming from behind the Red Bull goal. It'll be a throw-in for River, and Bobby showing the ability to battle in these moments for these Red Bull players. You've got the head coach of the US U15s off to our left. You've got Sean McCafferty, the academy director. You've got Gary Lewis, the New York Red Bull 2 USL coach, off to our right. This is a huge opportunity for some of these young players to show that they can push against higher level, that they can deal with adversity. First substitute of the game for River Plate. Coming on is Lucas Silva.
It feels like one of these games, David, where Red Bulls emotionally need to acknowledge it's not their day, and the goal is going to come from a moment of magic.
Yeah.
That it's going to have to be one of the attackers, one of the more talented players that steps up and says, I need to beat someone and find us a goal.
Well, I don't know if that's true.
Okay.
It feels like for Red Bulls, they're waiting for that moment where the press is able to come in. And let's see if it's here. Laid off now for Olawan Raju. He can't get his feet right. White stepping forward to win it back. Long shot deflected. And he'll go out for a corner kick for New York Red Bulls.
Well, let's leave it to the fans. People who are watching on Twitch, does it seem like a game that the Red Bulls are going to create a team goal, or is it going to be a moment of magic? What are you seeing out there? Tell us what we should look out for.
Corner kick taken quickly. Luvini floats it to the far post. Alessandre, the center back, has to chase it. He keeps it alive. Second chance, not turned on goal. It'll be played out into the parking lot. Our guy Monstar in the chat, talking GA Cup legend Gio Reyna, who graced these fields for 2 years before heading over to Europe. Won what at the time was the Premier Division, before this new setup of all the teams in one division across 10 different groups. We got Lazar Luis on Pedro in there as well, I believe a River fan. Spieth now the goal scorer, showing off his quality. Big collision. Stokes once again aggressive off his line, and DeHart plays it away before he gets there. River looking to play through the lines. Opportunity coming. And the ball poked towards Stoke, who clips it over the top.
Are we going to call that a toe poke or a chip?
I'll give the quality. I'll say chip.
We'll go half and half.
Subia Bare. Bobby works himself like a half angle here. and then puts it on goal.
Yeah, tight control.
I'll say outside of the boot.
Okay.
Strikes through it.
Okay.
And Stokes has had an active game and has stepped up. An injury now, so our River Plate players taking the opportunity to get some water. And Bobby, what has it been about these games? Every game, we've had a goal in the opening 3 minutes of the second half. Is that a tactical thing, or is that an emotional thing?
I've been waiting for this question, David. I've been trying to piece together something about the young players, the first day. I think I'm going to have to say coincidence, though. I mean, we'll see as it builds up, but I don't think it'd be fair to say that young players are more likely to give up a goal early in the second half, or that something about the first day. I think it's just we've been lucky enough to see some exciting start to halves.
Classic Bobby Warshaw. He never needs a large sample size to be convinced. This ball played into the far post. The volley knocked up into the air and then cleared away by New York. Battle along the sideline. DeHart and Luvini doing the work. Alexandre can't wrap his foot around this one. Two more subs getting ready for New York Red Bulls. This will be their second of 3 moments here in this second half. Simon Nee, the head coach for this under-15 side, trying to help his players find their footing. Well, that long shot comes in, and Bobby, I think, trying to help his players find that energy, right? Red Bull so often, energy drink soccer, they're the ones who charge the tempo of the game.
Yeah, I'm just sitting here, David, thinking about this game and watching it, and there's a feeling that Red Bulls are really under it right now, which they largely have been for the majority of the game, and yet it's only a 1-goal game. 1 goal and they get the point. 1 goal, they take 2 points away from River. I mean, it's just any second can change it. And it's an important reminder to how fast things can happen.
Masanu Tonu, the number 10 for River, pulled the strings so far in this game. Spieth's got the goal. He clips that one over the top. Stokes once again aggressive off his line. Boulanger under pressure. And able to step away from it. It'll be a throw in for the New York Red Bulls. The Red Bulls came out under pressure. Early formation change.
David, what do you think is the card up Red Bull's sleeve to try and change the game here over the last 15 minutes?
I think it's just hoping that the subs you bring on bring that energy that hasn't existed. And one of the things we've talked about is there's a young group for this New York Red Bull squad, 9 players from a younger age, but it's also a group where you don't know who your best players are yet. And so this is an opportunity for these players coming off the bench to show they are starters.
I just want to say that I don't know that Red Bulls haven't not brought energy as much as River Plate have just exceeded it. And River Plate have been excellent. These first 40 minutes of this game,
yeah,
Red Bull were flying all over. River were just slightly better and able to match it.
Spieth now, he's able to earn a throw. He's been impressive, Bobby. Now coming in field and showing more of his game.
Yeah, ever since the injury to Subiabre up top, he's needed to take a more active role, come inside, get more of the ball, which he's shown a capability to do.
So now coming on in place of Subiabre, who goes off with the injury, is ICS Pineda.
Yeah, Jerry, yeah.
That's that substitution now. Red Bull's making 2 subs. Jalen Lester and Finn Moran coming on. And it looks like it'll be in place of the center mid, Brady Bollinger. Will be one of the changes. The other playing coming off is People or Olan Riwaju. And we didn't see either of the forwards in this game for this New York side.
Such an important part. But because Red Bull never created intentionality about their attack, they never found enough control in what they were doing, it's always hard for a forward who really live and depend on the predictability of those around and setting them up, whether it's in possession or in the box, was just never able to happen for those Red Bull strikers.
Second half of the fourth game here on our streams. But we have had a ton more games across the fields around us. Tune in to MLSsoccer.com for coverage of all the games, goal scores, standings. You can check out your favorite teams. If you're a fan of one of the international clubs, all of that information up there as well. We know Celtic fell 2-0 to Austin FC in one of the fields behind us. We've watched a number of Liga MX sides play here as well, and we've got some big games coming up over the next few days. Starting early tomorrow, Bobby.
And shout out
Get
to
your
those
decaf
people,
coffee ready.
Shout out to those people who've been here with us for 4 games.
Appreciate you, Elliot Soames. Appreciate you. Ball played through the lines. Another chance to double the lead here for River. Stokes to the ground, and he pulls that off the feet of the attacker.
David, I think we need an alert for Jeremiah White playing his 3rd position of the game today. He's now gone from right back to one of the box-to-box midfielders.
As we see the replay here of this opportunity, Stokes has been so aggressive off his line here today. And you'd say, we keep asking who steps up. You have to say Aiden Stokes has been one of the players who has.
He has, and it's largely been about his positioning, his starting position.
Yeah.
He's been brave. I mean, almost at all times. Here you see where the ball is in the field, and Aiden Stokes is about 40 yards beyond his own goal, really in that sweeper-keeper position, ready to clean up. If Red Bull want to be aggressive in the attacking half, they have to have someone they can trust to clean up that space behind them.
Uvini now to throw it in. Hall flicks it up for White. White surrounded by River Plate jerseys. He's able to keep possession for his team. D'Souza put under pressure.
You know what White has? He has a composed aggression to him, that he's always running through balls. He's one of the players most willing to go into duels, but he always looks unflustered while it happens. There's a grace to the way he plays.
Uvini here in space up to Jeremiah White, cuts it back. Can't find a teammate. And immediately the Red Bull counter press is on. The ball won back. And Leicester can't find a teammate on that one. If the name Jeremiah White sounds familiar, his dad, a professional in his day, some good years out in Scandinavia, finished his career with the Philadelphia Union as well, played with the U.S. national team.
A fantastic player to watch. Somebody you would see on the field and it was just aesthetically pleasing to watch him with the soccer ball.
Philly legend.
He is.
Sitting next to a Mechanicsburg legend myself. What's Andrew Wenger?
Andrew Wenger will get called Lancaster.
Lancaster legend. Okay, got it. Even in Texas, we're never far from our heart in Pennsylvania.
My favorite, growing up in Mechanicsburg, Pennsylvania, my favorite player growing up for the local professional team, Mark Pulisic. Number 8 for the Harrisburg Heat. A great curly-haired mullet, skilled on the ball, has gone on to do some other special important things with his life for American soccer, but a great indoor soccer player.
I thought he was a Hershey Wildcat. I thought we were going to talk Bob Lilly for a moment there. Ball knocked up the field. Christian Pulisic qualifying for the World Cup last week. A lot of the players on the field with him got their start here on this field in the heyday of their career.
The majority of that team at this point, Stefan was here, Pepe was here, Ferrero was here, Adams was here.
George Bello,
Reyna was here, Aronson was here.
Oh, you wanted me to keep going for you. Kellen Acosta played here.
I just thought we had a good rhythm going.
Kellen Acosta played here. I don't know if he did it in the GA Cup. Reggie Cannon was here in his day as well. Played here for FC Dallas. A lot of players who have come out of this tournament, shown themselves for the first time at an international level at this tournament, have gone on to play at a high level. As we rattle them off at a World Cup level, and these are the next wave. As I said, the US U15 coach here, White showing off his footwork, and Luvini not reading the play. 30-minute half, so final 5 minutes of this second half coming up. The Red Bulls have found a little bit more in the middle third here, Bobby. Still nothing yet in that final third to challenge this young man in Costanza. Costanza gonna hit it long straight into the Red Bull bench. The Red Bulls immediately throw it in. No time to waste in this one. If we would end in a tie, each team would get a minimum of 1 point. We'd go straight to penalty kicks to award an additional second point to a team. Big collision there. Leicester now on the ball. Calls for handball. There. Head official Preston Joyner on top of that one. And he will finally call a foul against the New York Red Bulls. And Finn Moran there gets called for the foul. And I think one of their coaches described to me as he gets in trouble, but Red Bull style trouble.
What's the next sentence on that? What exactly does that mean?
He gets a lot of yellow cards. He's a Nat, he's physical, comes off the bench here. But he has been a big piece of this U15 team. Currently sitting in the middle of their MLS competition league standings. Knocked off NYCFC in their academy derby a few days ago. Chance coming here, and it's knocked over the top from Logan. The best look of the game for New York.
As I was saying, a great team combination, almost leading to a goal. And this is it. Direct, play forward, get around the ball, take risks. That's the moment Red Bulls have been waiting for. That's the representation of how they approach the game.
It was the first time we've seen them win a second ball so far really in this game in a dangerous area. We also saw how narrow they forced River Plate to be in that moment. And now, is there an opening on the counter for River Plate the other way? Bursting into the box. The substitute with fresh legs, and that's how you put one away. The goal from the substitute, Isaias Pineda, here in the 57th minute. And Bobby, we've said it a couple times, but River Plate know how to close out a game.
It's maturity. Understanding how to win a soccer game. This club finds ways to do it at Generation Adidas Cup. And look at this finish. Stops on a dime, puts it on the right foot. The deft little curl over the goalkeeper. A brilliant light to finish off a wonderful day.
Pineda comes off the bench, gets the goal to follow up Spieth's 32nd minute opening goal. And as you said, there was not a big window to put that one in. It wasn't about power. What a gorgeous finish there from Pineda. River Plate will move to the top of Group A alongside Pumas. They still have Pumas and the Colorado Rapids to face off against. The Red Bulls will try and bounce back against MLS and Mexican League opposition. But every time you come in to a tournament with River Plate in it, they come in as favorites. And Bobby, they've done nothing to lose that title here today.
With the red sash.
It's class.
Really, you just set yourself up. In the fourth game of the day, you can't throw out words like sash in the opening.
Spieth now slides it down to the end line, and they can't save it.
All right, I'm going to toss this one to you. We have 2 minutes left in opening day of 2022 Generation Adidas Cup. We've done 4 games. There's been more than that throughout. What are your main themes from the day?
I think the teams that are most cohesive have been most successful. It's been really obvious to see, but the match winners have shined. I mean, the opening game really set the tone from Monterrey, and you had 2 U15 Mexican internationals on the field. They were the 2 best players on the field. One scored 2 goals, and then Pumas the same, the players who dictated, who created that game, and LAFC as well. So I think we're always going to talk about team and the identity, the press, the connectivity. All those things have been huge, and that's what set the stage. But it's stars in moments like this that step up, and that's sort of what we're all here to see.
And it's important to add to that, too, that is not always the case in youth soccer. One element of growing and developing is inconsistency. That you might be the star player in one game, but you're often not the star player in the next game, because that's part of growing. And I've heard the great Ziggy Schmidt say that really what age means, it's consistency. That older players bring a similar level every single day, but today there's been no shortage of the stars living up to the hype.
It's been a phenomenal day of soccer. I'm excited to see tomorrow, and we were talking to Sean McCafferty about this before the game. The U15s, they've been impressive, they've been fun, but the jump from 15s to 17s is massive. It's almost the same as the jump from youth to pros. It's players who are more physically developed, more experienced, players who have been here before to U15 level, playing against international competition once again at that level. Bobby, it's going to be fun tomorrow. It's going to be that big jump.
And even more pressure on those young players, because they're on the cusp of the professional team. If you have a good under-15 tournament, it accelerates you to the U17s. If you have a good under-17 tournament, it accelerates you to
MLS Next Pro, USL, MLS. There are a number of players here on MLS contracts.
Shoe deals, and there's the possibilities are endless.
Absolutely. Substitute coming here for this River Plate side. So Spieth's evening is done. Owen Ortega comes on.
David, it's a pleasure to be back at GA Cup with you. Our 3rd year doing it together. Probably in those 3 years, 50 total games, 10 games a day, whatever it is. But it's wonderful to be back here with you.
It has been a lot of fun to watch these players. And it's been a lot of fun to watch these teams. Some high-level soccer. We've got some great conversations coming for you as well. We sat down with Fred Lipka already earlier today for about 35-40 minutes. That'll be a podcast that you can access on MLSsoccer.com or the MLS Today podcast feed. We've got a couple more conversations coming up over the next few days with the people who really know the youth development scene from a high level. We'll talk to people all the way from GMs of MLS teams down to some of the coaches here about the different things that are happening in the way youth development has changed and still needs to change. Did anything stand out to you from that Fred combo as we enter our 5 minutes of minimum stoppage time?
Hearing Fred talk about where the U.S. youth development system was in 2015 when he arrived from France to help Major League Soccer with it, to where it is now, and that non-linear but consistent path of progression is always exciting to hear about. Because we know the names that have gone from Major League Soccer, we know the transfer amounts that they've gone for, but to hear how they went from A to, not Z, probably would still just at G, but how they've done that so far systematically and intentionally is always fun to hear about.
New York Red Bulls pushing for that goal. Remember, group stage competition, every goal, goal difference, every result can get you through to the next round. Moran going to play up the middle. One back by River. The battle now between Luvini and the goal scorer Pineda. New York Red Bulls come away with it, charging forward now. Logan chasing it down out wide. He had the best look of the game moments before Pineda made it 2-0, as we've got a player down behind the play. And the trainer out to look after this one, to look after the player here. A lot of games to be played by these players, 60-minute games. Those 3 group stage games, and then every team will play at least 2 more games. So 5 games over the course of these 9 days for these young players at a high level. So there's a lot of tracking, a lot of monitoring being done by these clubs to make sure all these players stay safe, stay healthy. And Bobby, learning how to manage your body is one of the big steps for young players moving in to the pro ranks. As a kid, it's just easy. For pros, you have to know how to recover, how to make sure your body's ready for that next game.
Elite players now, elite teams are playing twice a week, whether
Yeah.
it's UEFA Champions League, CONCACAF Champions League. You get called into the national team for those windows in 3 games in 7 days. And it's easier to recover when you're 15 years old, but to learn the practices, what type of food should you eat after a game, what type of stretching, what type of foam rolling, what devices work for you over those 48 hours, are the habits that are starting to get ingrained in players at 14 and 15.
Center back Gutierrez being helped off. It was a largely comfortable performance for this River Plate back line. Red Bulls, though, can they steal a goal late here in stoppage time? Lavini will swing this one in. Drilled to the far post. Opportunity there. Brought back across the goal. And now Flores can clear it. They're hard under pressure. Gets it to White. White able to work out of this River attack, but the press put on, and Alessandre finally goes back to the goalkeeper. As Gutierrez is getting ready to come back on for River Plate. Stokes immediately hits it long. Ball played over the top, and it'll sneak into the box for Costanzo. We have had some wild ups, a ton of goals throughout this competition already in one day. 2 3-1 games, and right now it's sitting on 2-0 games as well. Some unbelievable goals outside of the foot from the top of the box, chips, toe pokes, everything in between. It's been a lot of fun to watch this competition. As we hear here in the dying seconds of this one.
Just getting started.
4 more games to come tomorrow at the U17 level. Early morning, 10 a.m. Eastern time start. For this River Plate club will bring back their U17s. They've been the dominant force here in Dallas over the last 10 years at the Generation Adidas Cup, and they will face off against DC United. And tonight, the U15s for River Plate stand alone atop Group A, a 2-0 win over the New York Red Bulls. Bobby, a dominant performance really from start to finish.
It was. Red Bulls wanted to make the game as fast and chaotic as possible, and River Plate matched it and brought a sense of composure that lifted them over the top over the 60 minutes.
Go to MLSsoccer.com to see all of the results here from day one. It was a incredible day of action. It's in the books now. We are finished with the 2022 Generation Adidas Cup U15 Day 1 of action.